Okay.
Okay, it's going 1, 2, 3. Hi, okay, so this is part 2 of how to repair a popcorn ceiling. So, although I'm using an antiquated tool to do the job, which actually when you're using direct juice, it's actually a better tool if you got to mix mud, which is what I'm doing. So, rather than go back and forth to a cordless, I'm going to use the power drill. Now, I should have a clutch on the end of here for those of you who are experts. I know I should have a clutch. I don't have one. And sometimes you don't have your clutch either, so you just go it alone. So please, just bear with me. I'm just trying to show you how we're going to secure the ceiling so that our repair stays. If I just repaired the ceiling and put mud on here, yeah, the customer would be, great job. And in about 3 months, he'd have his crack back again. Why is there a crack? Well, the substrate, which is this material, whatever is underneath the finished product, is your substrate. So on a floor, you'll have a plywood substrate or a cement substrate. In this case, the substrate is sheetrock. And in order for the finished product, the plaster, the topping compound, to do its job, the substrate has to be a solid foundation. And with that in mind, in order to secure the substrate to the structure of the house, we need to fasten the substrate to the framing. There's 2 ways to do it, with screws or with ribbed sheetrock nails. When you're doing a ceiling, when you're putting up a ceiling above you, sometimes getting it up, it is allowed. Construction permits that a couple of nails be put in just to hold the thing in place. But the best way to do it is to use screws. You can undo a screw once it's in. But a nail with gravity and time and vibration and settling, it comes out. And if it comes out a 1/4 inch, your nails are popped, which is what we have over there. We'll do that in another video. We're just talking about how to secure the ceiling now from the crack. And this goes for even ceilings that are not popcorn. It goes for walls. If you have a fissure in your sheetrock, it's because of you have some instability. Now you would have to check with an architect and a building inspector to find out if it's a structural issue. But in this case, we've determined that it's simply because the sheetrock, if you can see that moving, the sheetrock was poorly secured to the framing of the house. So we've identified that the studs, the joists, go this way. How do we know that? Well, we took a look in the attic. But if you didn't have access to the attic and you were in an apartment or something, you could penetrate the ceiling with nails. And every time you found a nail, in this case, if you use a stud finder, good luck. You're not going to be able to find the stud going over all these bumps. You'll get false readings. But if you just put finishing nails in, like this one, here's a 2.5 inch framing finishing nail. So if I put this in and it hits wood, I put another one in hits wood, all of a sudden after 3 I got a line. There's your stud. And then 16 inches to either side of that stud is your next stud. That's one way to do it. So I put my screws in, I found my joist. All I'm going to do here for you is secure the sheetrock with the screws. Once we do that, we're ready to finish this thing. Okay, so this will be a brief. I'm just going to go on for a brief amount of time just to show you that how you're going to do this, okay? Like I said, bear with me with this tool and the noise that it makes, because I know it's... But these are good tools when you have the cord. It gives you a lot of power and the batteries don't run out. You hear that noise? That means you hit the wood. You hear that the pine gripping onto that screw? So there we go, and it's going to be a beautiful repair. The ceiling was dropped down a 1/4 inch, believe it or not. That's a lot, and that's why you saw this massive crack here. Now, the rule for securing sheetrock on each side of the seam, the books say, I remember when I got Reader's Digest, Guide to Home Improvement, I actually opened it up and read it. They say 3/16 of an inch, no closer to the seam do you want your screw. That's a general rule. So I'm going to try to do that right now. Actually, if you start the hole by making a divot in there so that your screw stays, it's a good idea to do that. Because you could get really hurt if you try to run that screw. I don't have a shaft on this thing. For those of you who know what a shaft is, I'm just pretty much doing it rough just to get the job done. Do you see how much the ceiling is pulling up while the head of this screw, this bugle tipped screw, is pulling it in? Check it out. See that? It's nice. It's pulling it right up there. All I need is one more. I'm actually exceeding the requirements to fasten the ceiling, but I don't care. I don't want this screw coming back in. I don't want the crack coming back. That one didn't take. Wonder why. With the joist go, it just must be on the edge of the screw here. Of the end of the stud. Oh. Gotta be careful. Okay, so I was a little off with that screw. I can see now that I'm square with the wall why that one didn't take. Because this is the edge of the stud right here. And that's good. We're dealing with a compromised strength of sheetrock, so I don't want to push it. I will sufficiently mud this where you will not see this protrusion, okay? See, once you find the stud, it's pretty easy. All I need is another one over here. And see, I got to stay away from 3/16. If I go 3/16, my guess is that the sheetrock did not butt up against the other sheetrock, that it was kind of a messy job, the cut. In other words, I have plaster. For those of you who do sheetrock, you know that sometimes the board breaks and people just put it up anyway and they just throw a bunch of mud in there and put tape, and even though it looks good, when you go to repair it like this, you no longer have the tape holding on to the sheetrock. So that's what I have going on here. So, I mean, you do what you can. As long as you're going to secure this thing, it doesn't matter. I'm grabbing tape here, so it's going to hold. You see how it's pulling the ceiling up? I'm gripping on to something substantial, so I'm not just penetrating plaster with a piece of tape on it. I'm actually gripping the sheetrock here, and that's what you want. You see, it's pulling it up. And you can see how the sheetrock went up, and that's what we want. Now watch. Look at how nice and secure that seam is. That's not going anywhere now. And if you could see on my side, it's 1/4 inch where it was hanging down. Okay, so if you just show them the rest of the crack. So now I'm going to do the rest of this repair just the same way that you saw it here, okay? And that's what I want you to do. Wherever your sheetrock is loose, you can expect a crack later on down the road. At least 6 months to a year tops, you'll see what's going on. your ceiling is not secure. I want to show you one last thing before I end the second part of this video, and that's over here. You can just bring this over here. Now, I'll show them these pop nails. This is why you don't want to use, just direct it up here. This is why you don't want to use nails on the ceiling. See this one, you can see the nail, it's coming out. That's 1, 2, look at this one, 3, look at these cheap nails. Why do they use them? They're quick, they just bang right in. So it takes a screw, it takes 3 times the amount of time to put a screw in than it does for a nail. So that's why they don't use them. But on a repair like this, you want to use screws because otherwise it won't be repaired. I just want to show you the protection we take to put over. This is perfectly sealed. You just take this down. You don't have to take all your stuff down. All right, so anyway, if you liked the video, if this helped you out, please click on like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. See you on part 3.